Hey, my friend, Deb Boulanger here. How would you like to earn more while working less? Here's how to surrender to success in 2022 with some fresh strategies for women entrepreneurs to make growing your business easy. Welcome to Life After Corporate, your ultimate guide for making the leap from corporate leader to entrepreneur. I'm Deb Boulanger, entrepreneur, executive leader, and founder of the Launch Lab for Women Entrepreneurs. This is your time to break through the glass ceiling once and for all and get your ticket to the C-suite. Come back each week to get the leading strategies, advice, and tools that will give you the skills and confidence you need to replace your corporate paycheck. Are you ready? Let's go. Hey everyone, Happy New Year. I am thrilled to be here, and I will admit it wasn't the easiest holiday season. We had suffered some losses in our family. Our furry friend Sunny, who has been our fur baby for 15 years, we had to put down on December 14th, and she's left a big hole in our heart. If you follow me on Facebook, I'm sure you've seen some of those pictures of our fluffy teddy bear who is loved to steal socks, loved to get into trouble, but was a sweetheart and loved by everyone in our family. So that was a hard loss for us. And just this past week, lost a member of my extended family. And it's just the way it is. We also lost opportunities to gather during the holidays. So inevitably, whether it was our Christmas celebration with family or New Year's Eve with friends, someone inevitably got sick or was exposed. And so that put a kink in our holiday plans. But we were able to hunker down to spend time with loved ones together. And I hope you had a magical holiday as well. And part of my downtime over the holiday was focusing on my 2022 plan, because while I had supported my clients in the Six Figure Accelerator and getting their planning done before the holiday, I didn't get my planning done. And I had some insights as I was thinking about my word for the year, or my phrase for the year. What will be the North Star that guides my decisions in this coming year? Because we've grown to an extent where we need to make some changes, and I need to bring on a team. While we have a virtual team, I have a wonderful virtual assistant that's been with me for 3 years. Last year, I brought on a marketing agency and a fractional CFO. This year, we really need to add sales to our Great Do-Over employee roster. So this will be our first full-time hire. I'm so super excited about that. And if you are a social seller, or you know someone who has expertise in social selling, in managing live launches, in engaging prospects in conversation and converting them into clients, would love to speak with you. So just send me a direct message wherever you are downloading this video or hearing this podcast, or email me at Deb, DEB, at thegreatdoover, GreatDoover.com, and we'll be happy to send you over the job description and book some time to have the conversation. So growth is exciting, right? But growth doesn't happen with me adding more to my to-do list. It's actually about doing less. So here's how you earn more by doing less and surrendering to success. So as I was thinking about this podcast today, I came up with 8 tenets of doing less and surrendering to success, and 8 things to surrender. And although the last 10 years, so I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years, and it hasn't always been easy, I would say the first 5 years were somewhat of a hustle. It was really a shift in my focus, a shift in who was my ideal client, what was I offering, how was I acquiring new clients. And I moved away from the hustle of networking events and webinars and all of that to focusing on a narrow problem to solve, working exclusively with women who are in corporate or who have left corporate to grow a coaching or consulting business. And that narrow focus has really brought me a lot of joy in the people that I'm working with, and has brought them great results with some predictable 6-figure revenue strategies strategies where there's a strategy and a plan in place to grow the business by six figures year after year after year. And that's what we enjoyed. 2 out of the last 3 years, we doubled our revenues. And this last year, we are up 65% year over year. And that's some incredible growth statistics by any measure. And so we're excited this year to really scale up and get closer to our 7-figure revenue goal. And so that's super exciting for me, and it's going to require a team. But we were able to achieve that growth by listening closely to what our clients wanted. And we increased the average value of a client by 35%. Last year, we introduced a new high-end offering called the Six Figure Accelerator, which is a year-long program for women entrepreneurs who have been at it at least 6 months to a year, who are selling already. You are closing clients, you are growing your business, but your business isn't growing as fast as you'd like. You're confused and overwhelmed. There's a lot of choices out there. There's a lot of paths that you can take. And maybe you're a little bit afraid of leaving money on the table or missing out on a social media channel, and you may be exhausted just keeping up with the hustle. So if that's you, stay tuned. You're going to really enjoy this episode on how we predictably grew revenues and profits in the Great Do-Over by holding fast to these 8 tenets of surrender. And number 1 is surrender serving everyone to serving the one. So while new entrepreneurs are afraid of leaving money on the table, successful entrepreneurs know that the riches are in the niches. And I think I borrowed that phrase. It might have been from Eleanor Beaton or one of the other influencers that I listened to. But the riches are indeed in the niches. And by focusing on a narrow market niche, in my case, women leaving corporate to start a coaching, speaking, or consulting business, I was able to bring more value through my training programs and be much more relevant as a coach and mentor to these women. We share a common vernacular. We share a common experience of climbing the corporate ladder. We also have a common way of doing things in frameworks and templates that we can rinse and repeat, and strategies that we can then make our own. So the more relevant I can be by narrowing my focus to women who have left the corporate world to start their own coaching or consulting business, the more valuable I can be to them. Number 2 is surrender to resistance and just do it. So there's nothing like becoming an entrepreneur that will push you way outside of your comfort zone. And so there's a lot of resistance that pops up. And how can you tell you're in resistance? Well, when you keep thinking of putting another load of laundry in, or you're checking your cell phone and your notifications over and over, and you're hopping over to answering an email or posting in social media and writing your content. And we all know that there's no such thing as multitasking, right? So what you're doing is your brain is shifting focus in rapid succession. It's not focusing on 2 or 3 things at once. And there's a cost, there's a switching cost to moving your attention from one thing to the other. So set up your environment to be able to just focus on one thing and get that one thing done. And I love this quote from Anne Lamott in her book, Bird by Bird, which is almost all good writing begins with terrible first efforts. You need to start somewhere. Start by getting something, anything, down on paper. And what I've learned to do when I sit down to work on a shitty first draft is to quiet the voices in my head. And so I think of that quote whenever I am resistant to writing new copy, or sitting down in the chair and recording a new podcast, or posting a live video on social media. I have resistance about all of those things. It's not that they're that difficult for me or that I'm not good at them, but for some reason, I prefer to be an introvert. I prefer creating things on the inside as opposed to being seen on the outside. So that's one of the things that I surrender the resistance in favor of doing what's important, right? The next one is surrender comparing and do you to the max. So even if you are a new coach and you've recently been credentialed in a certain area, or you're a consultant and you've recently received a certification in a certain methodology, you're more than that methodology. You're more than your expertise. You are the culmination of decades of experience, both personally and professionally, the things that you're passionate about, the experiences that you've acquired in the corporate world, the skills that you've acquired, all the training that you've had, not just your latest credential. And the truth is, it's easy to compare yourself to other people on social media. You might be seeing them doing reels and pointing at word bubbles, which is something you will never see me do, my friend. If you do, I want you to call me out on it. I much prefer having intimate conversations with people in my inner circle. That's just my style. And that's what my clients tend to like too. So just do you to the max, because the truth is everyone is hustling, and all you can do is just be consistent being you. You will be heard above the noise if you spend more time being interesting and entertaining to your ideal client than you try to be all things to all people in all places. The next is surrender that spray and pray approach to marketing in favor of focused conversations. So I know fear of missing out, or FOMO, is a real thing. And you might see people on Clubhouse leading rooms. You might see people doing Instagram reels, people doing LinkedIn lives or LinkedIn newsletters or launching Facebook groups. The truth is you can't dilute your efforts. You need to focus on one product, one ideal client, one sales channel, one conversion strategy. Master those things. You will get more out of mastery of a single strategy than you will be in a spray and pray approach to marketing, because the more you dilute your focus, if you have too many products, too many online courses, complex marketing strategies, multiple products, multiple technology platforms, that all dilutes your results. You will earn more with being consistent, having that intimate conversation with that one ideal buyer. And the next tip is to surrender and focus and find pure joy in the win. And win stands for what's important now. And I credit one of my clients who introduced that term in our launch lab, and it's a great one. And frequently, many times throughout the day, when there's a list of 5 or 10 things to do on my list, I'll say, well, what's most important right now? What's most important in this moment? In this moment right now, what's most important is me having this conversation with you and recording this broadcast. So I'm sure by now you know that multitasking is a myth, and WIN, what's important now, was an acronym coined by Coach Lou Holtz, who built his football coaching career on what's important now. So Holtz encouraged his athletes to ask themselves this question continually throughout the day. I can't remember what team. I want to say Green Bay Packers, but I'm not entirely sure of what team he coached. But I love the acronym WIN, what's important now. The next tip is to surrender control. You need to delegate more. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. And you will find that the more you delegate your non-core tasks to people on your team, including subcontractors and virtual assistants, the more time you will spend in your zone of genius. So start by automating routine tasks and delegating the rest. And the next surrender, I think we have, so this must be number 7, is surrender to receive more than you believe is possible. So in a recent email to my community, I wrote about the devastating impact of lowered expectations on women leaders. I told the story of when I had received a big promotion in my highest earning year ever, that I went to North Carolina where my folks had retired, and I was having a conversation with my dad, sharing with him my excitement over this win of getting this big promotion and earning more than I ever expected to in my career. And he said, you know what, Deb, you've exceeded all of my expectations. And he was sincere in that. And I looked him straight in the eye and I said, Dad, maybe your expectations were a little too low. And that got me to thinking that it's not just me, and I'm a white woman who achieved a lot of great success in my life, but women as a gender are operating under a set of lowered expectations. We're not even aware of it, right? And it comes out in not being paid equally or not having equal opportunities or having lowered expectations set on our own performance. And what's happened is we've internalized those lowered expectations. And so what we do then is expect less. We expect to earn less than we should. We price our services less than we should. I read recently a social media post by Mel Robbins, who, when she first started her speaking career, one of the conference organizers pulled her over and said, "You know what? You were the highest rated speaker of this entire event. And you know what? You were paid less by half as much as most of the male presenters." And she said after that moment, she doubled her rates and even increased her rates beyond that and never looked back. And I will guarantee you, you are operating on a set of lowered expectations. So when you're planning your year and you're setting your revenue goal, I challenge you to double it. And I guarantee, I dare you not to achieve it. Challenge you to double your revenue number, and I dare you not to achieve it. When you set your expectations for your own performance higher, you're not going to disappoint yourself. You will rise to that occasion and you will achieve that. I've seen it happen over and over again with my clients. I've applied that same principle to myself, and I can't wait to see what you do with it. And lastly, surrender to consistency. So if you're thinking of launching a podcast this year, know that 90% of podcasts experience what's known as pod fade. They fade out after just 10 episodes. So while there may be millions of podcasts out there, millions of podcasters, if you are consistent in how you show up, and this holds true for social media, for emailing your mailing list, for speaking on stages, if you surrender to consistency, you will double or triple your revenue this year. You will find that revenue growth is a natural outcome of consistent effort. So I hope you enjoy those 8 tenets of surrender to do less and actually make more. Success as a solopreneur is less about muscling your way to the top or becoming addicted to the struggle. Surrendering to success is much easier and much more rewarding, and you get to enjoy the ride. And if you want the roadmap to success by surrendering, send me a message. You can either post here on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or send me a message if you're listening to this on a podcast player. Send me a message at deb@thegreatdoover.com and ask about the Six Figure Accelerator. Make twice the money with half the effort through these simple principles and practices. And if you'd like to grab more Life After Corporate episodes that relate to this topic, I encourage you to grab episode 27, How to Launch a Profitable Podcast, with my podcast coach, Adam Shively. How to Scale Your Influence in episode 78, How to Scale Your Influence as a 7-Figure Entrepreneur, with Eleanor Beaton. Eleanor is one of my former coaches and one of my favorite colleagues on this road to scaling your business. And episode 80, The CEO Mindset, with Leslie Grossman. We talked about the growth mindset in that podcast and how to handle fear and what trips you up from operating outside of your zone of familiar in your zone of genius. So that's it for now, my friend. It's Deb Boulanger here. I look forward to seeing you and hearing from you on our next episode of Life After Corporate. Take care. Thanks for listening, my friend. If you enjoyed this show, please head over to iTunes and subscribe and leave us a review. And be sure to hop over to the Life After Corporate Facebook group and join other growing entrepreneurs to get weekly tips on how to create more money and meaning doing work you love.